The Reserve Bank's Monetary Policy Committee is likely to announce its next policy on October 1st. This policy is important because for the first time, the Reserve Bank is likely to give a GDP forecast for this year. More important, the market is quite unsure of the Reserve Bank's view on inflation. I mean, it seems to be hyper when the minutes came and then it seems to soften down. Also, there are doubts on whether they should stick to the mandate at all, given the unnatural situation. Markets also worried if RBI now has second thoughts on liquidity, should they continue to flood, given the inflation and other concerns. Then, of course, the biggest worry is about central government borrowing, even bigger worry, state government borrowing. So lots of questions, and as always, on the eve of the RBI policy, we have the CNBC TV18 Citizens Monetary Policy Committee meeting to deliberate on what ought to be on the MPC's mind. Joining me now are Chairman of our Citizens Committee, Dr. Pranab Sen, and members Sonal Verma, Samiran Chakraborty, Soumyakanti Ghosh and Sajid Shenoy. Gentlemen and lady, welcome. Thank you very much for joining me. Let me start with the one number that the market will watch out for, the GDP number. The MPR, Monetary Policy Report, has to be filed for September for the half year, and therefore the expectation is you have to give a GDP number. Sonal Verma, what is likely to be that number? What else will you watch out for on the growth commentary?
Alan, I think now that we have Q1 data, there's at least greater certainty on the likely outcome for GDP growth this year. Our own projection is a growth contraction of 10.8%. From the RBI standpoint, I think potentially the RBI might give a broader range. Perhaps in the, let's say 8 to 10%, or maybe even a wider band. Some assessment on growth this time definitely, calls for it, given the Q1 numbers and the high frequency numbers we have since then. In terms of what we will be watching out for, two things actually. One is how fast does the RBI expect the sequential momentum to continue? I mean, do they think that the rising infection cases might lead to a sequential decline in activity going forward? Two, how long do they think it'll take for the level of GDP to get back to pre-COVID levels? Three, whether they think that, or they estimate that the COVID shock will lead to a more permanent damage to potential growth, given the adverse impact on productivity and capital formation. So those would be a set of quantitative and qualitative parameters we will be watching out for.
So let me take that to you, Samiran. How will the RBI sound on inflation, or the MPC?
I think RBI will also understand that because of the significant base effect that you have in the second half of the year, the headline inflation number is going to come down. So I'm pretty sure that MPC will give some comfort to the market on that front by clearly articulating that the worst on inflation is over. But having said that, the numbers that you have quoted on the forecast for the next 2 quarters essentially will translate into the index being practically same in March as what it has been in August. Now, that means in the second half, there is almost no sequential inflation that analysts like us, we are factoring in. And the reason behind that is partly seasonal, partly all of our expectation that because of slow growth, every prices will be dragged down, and partly because this vegetable price inflation that we are seeing right now, even in September, that will get reversed as the fresh crop comes into the market somewhere around October and November. So with all those benign assumptions, you are building in this kind of a scenario. So the risk always is on the upside that something can go wrong, and you could see these numbers to stay much higher than what the RBI or what the market is anticipating today. So I don't think it will be possible for RBI to completely ignore the inflation risks, because as you said, last 10 months average inflation has been 6.6%, much higher than what the MPC's comfort level is. But if you look at the internals of the inflation, what gives us comfort is that there are specific items from where the price pressures are coming. Like in core, it's simply to do with gold prices, taxes on petrol, diesel, and VAT on alcohol products. Other than that, the entire core is very much muted. Similarly, on food, it's much wider in food, but still, that's not something which should not be taken care of by the better crop that is expected after the summer season. So I'm not too worried on the inflation front, but at the same time, this is probably too early to wave the green flag also.
Dr. Sen, what's your sense, sir? First, will this remain a big issue, or will they try to smother it by saying anyway WPI is negative, etc.? And secondly, more importantly, the MPC's mandate is going to be rewritten by March. We don't know who the three external members are. Do you think this is the RBI MPC could take a view that maybe we should even rethink the importance of inflation and the number in the scheme of things?
Well, the MPC can't. I mean, they are mandated by law. They can certainly express their opinions to the finance ministry, but I would be very surprised if they try to interject that into the MPC minutes. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. It would be bad form, really.
Okay.
But, on the whole, looking at from a citizen's MPC point of view, I think there is a strong case to be made for changing the mandate. And what that change should be is something that I think we need to debate through. We haven't even begun that process as of now.
Yeah.
But this is going to be a major issue. And I think the challenges that COVID and its aftermath have thrown up are not going to be amenable to the kind of narrow mandate that has been given to the MPC. I think the mandate would have to be significantly more.
Okay, but just more to the point, sir, what are you expecting to hear from the statement, or should the statement say in terms of the growth inflation dynamics itself?
As far as
Go ahead, sir, please.
Inflation dynamics are concerned, I think Sonal is right. They are going to play it a little cautious on the growth front. The system is pussyfooting around giving a hard figure, so it will be a range. And I think my guess was somewhere between 7 and 10%. Sonal has narrowed it down a little bit. So they're going to say that. I do not think they will give a strong comment on what is likely to happen next year, except maybe up to the first or second quarter. But again, because they'd be treading on dangerous waters, and that's an area that's best left to the reconstituted MPC.
Okay.
Now, as far as inflation is concerned, as things stand, they cannot ignore the CPI. So they are going to have to take a call. Shomran is right that the likelihood is that because of the base effect, the CPI is going to fall later during the year. But that's cold comfort. They will have to get, I think, a fair amount of input. And some thought will have to go into why the gap between the CPI and WPI has been widening over the last couple of months. And a lot of it is going to depend upon their take on the reason for that gap and what is being done to bridge it.
Okay, so that's the point we should watch out for. How are they explaining the difference between the two? Soumya, very quickly, do you think any space exists for rate cut in this financial year?
I think just to take that point forward of the inflation, because that will determine the course of rate cut trajectory, I think the inflation fundamentals currently, even though it seems that it will come down to say maybe less than 4% after December. But the point to note is that entirely depends on the shifting consumption habits, because until and unless the economy gets out of the lockdown mode, I don't think there could be a material and significant downward impact on the CPI, even though all the market forecasters have built into that. So having said that, our sense is that a rate cut this year looks unlikely. We recently estimated that the lower bound of a rate trajectory in India using 2005 to 2019 data is that around 3.5% is the lower bound of the policy report rate, and that rate is actually creeping up over time. Okay. So from that point of view, I think again the space for rate cut is exhausted. And my sense is that February could be a touch and go, but as of now, we are not expecting a rate cut in the current fiscal, even if we are going by the current inflation trajectory.
Sajid, to you first. The Reserve Bank has been buying a lot of dollars. It's, I think, about $67 billion that it has bought from April 1st till the last available number. Simultaneously, the Reserve Bank seemed to indicate that there are limits. I mean, at least its action is that it has rolled back the LTRO money. It has taken it back. So it is giving a sense it is uncomfortable with too much liquidity. How are you going to look at the MPC statements or the RBI statements on liquidity?
Because as we've written, this is, the RBI is facing the classical trilemma, or in this case, it's the quadrilemma, where you've got multiple objectives. On the one hand, they want to avoid a real appreciation of the currency because that will tighten financial conditions. On the other hand, you don't want to disincentivize capital flows when, the domestic financial system is under some stress. At the same time, this policy was compatible when inflation wasn't a concern and you were comfortable injecting liquidity. Now, if there is a concern about inflation, the fact that it's been above target for the last 10 months, you're faced with the trilemma. So I think the way the RBI has played this is that, in recent times, try and intervene in the foreign exchange market without increasing rupee liquidity. And so they've increased, they've let the rupee appreciate a little bit or intervened in the forwards market. Now, with some of the LTRO money withdrawn from the system, advanced tax collections have gone out. We're seeing that the surplus is down to 3.5 trillion. And that gives them a little bit more space, both to do OMOs and to intervene in the FX market. Ultimately, there is no easy way to get around the trilemma. What you need to do is, at different points in time, take the pressure off different instruments. If the focus right now is on managing inflation, then they will be less comfortable injecting rupee liquidity and trying to manage the currency through other manners. In time to come, if inflation becomes less of a concern, then they'll be more emboldened to intervene in the FX market, unsterilize, and also support the bond market. Let me make one final point. There are a lot of concerns about the government borrowing, but the fact is India is on course to running a current account surplus, which means by definition, the private sector savings investment balance is greater than the public sector savings investment deficit. So we will end up with excess savings in the economy, plus you've got strong capital inflows. So I think as long as the central bank can essentially signal that bond yields will not go up or not harden disruptively, we may be surprised by the proclivity of the banking system to actually absorb this government issuance in the second half of the year. And the fact that HTM limits have gone up also creates more space to absorb the STLs, which are typically higher yielding.
Oh, that's absolutely well put. Two very key points that Sajid is making. I was going to get into the government borrowing in a minute, but two big safety valves or relief valves that the RBI has. One that, you have current account savings coming in, and look at even the current deposit growth is 10.9% last Friday numbers, and credit growth is 5.5% on a much smaller base. So clearly the banking system is ready, has enough money and ready to invest in government bonds. But that's not all. I want to have your views on, therefore, is it enough if the RBI just announces these steps like HTM and OMOs, or does it have to give a clear indication in the policy itself by announcing an OMO calendar or something like that? Those questions to my MPC committee after this break.